What were you told when you arrived in Ireland and you joined up? I think you were addressed, weren't you, by
Yes.
some general or other?
Brigadier General Crozier. And he addressed the mob, you know, that joined. Afterwards, I believe he wrote a book in which he condemned the Auxiliary Division for what they'd done. And he was the fellow who encouraged it.
Can you remember anything else he said?
No, it was a general address, you know, of what we'd got to do, and it was, kill 'em.
In what way were you separate then from the army?
Oh, we were entirely an entirely separate body. We had our own officers, we had our own general, we had our own headquarters. And one of the things the army didn't like us for was because we didn't salute their officers. We got staff officers in our crowd.
How did you make out in those days on £1 a day? I suppose that was more than a good deal more than the other troops were getting.
Guinness. But, we had to keep ourselves. And it wasn't a lot. We managed.
What was the discipline like?
It was very strict. It was very strict. We were in platoons, the same as the army, and it was very strict. And this business of all these cruelties and all these things were a lot of hooey. When our people were out on patrol, they came across an IRA man, and he was drilling a class. And of course, they both did, and they shot him. And they shot him in the back. And he came back to Macroom, and the doctor was there. And he apparently couldn't breathe properly. He could breathe in or couldn't breathe out. And all the time he was there, he was shouting, "To hell, you English bastards, up di Valera." And that's all he said. Of course, he died.
You knew a number of people there. And you told me about a rebel that you used to drink with or had a drink with once in a pub.
Oh,
Can you
yes.
tell me that story?
Yes, I was down in a pub down by the station in Macroom one afternoon having a drink. And I got in touch with a fella. And we had several drinks together. And I said, I must be going now. I've got to get along. And he said, "You're up at the castle, aren't you?" So I said, "Yes." So he said, "We've had a very pleasant afternoon." He said, "But if I see you again, you bugger, I'll shoot you."
What about the sort of methods used, though, by the Shinners sort of out in the open country where they were preparing ambushes? I mean, what sort of tricks did they get up to there?
Well, of course, the ambush was prepared behind a hill or, in brush. It was never on the open road. It was usually on a corner. And you just ran into it.
Did they fell trees? Did they cut down trees to block the road ever?
Not very often. You used to get a lot of rocks across the road.
What did you think yourself about the Shinners in those days?
Oh, we never worried about them. We didn't worry. We had a job to do. Our job really was to protect the police. And we were called out at night and all that sort of thing for attacks on police barracks and things like that.
Can you remember what the morale of the police was at that time? Because they'd had a number of barracks destroyed, hadn't they, in the West?
I think they were all right. As I say, a lot of this is hooey because there were regular police in Macroom, for instance, who lived in Macroom, had their homes in Macroom and used to come home. And they were never attacked. We saw very little of them. because they were merely confined to barracks. And all around was the same. As I say, we were called out at night when the police barracks were attacked, because every police barracks had a radio. And if they were attacked, our job was to go out at night.
Tell me, what part do you think did the women play in aiding the rebels, in aiding the Shinners?
Well, I don't know, because, I mean, that sort of things were never discussed. I mean, you didn't know, we didn't know anybody who was on their side until after the truce. And then they came out of hiding, and we found out people who really belonged to them.
But what I'm asking you is, I mean, did you think at the time that a lot of the Shinners actually were in Macroom, or were they people that lived out in the countryside and moved about from farm to farm?
Well, we didn't know. Of course, we had intelligence people, and a few people were suspected, but we didn't know them.
And tell me now about these patrols that you went on, what they were like, and what their purpose was.
Oh, well, of course, the patrol, the patrol was just sort of keeping peace in the countryside. I went out once on a patrol. We had a priest come round to the castle and told us that there was an ambush being prepared at a place away, a little way out. And we went out to it. And of course, we were about 100 strong, you know, and we were surrounded all this place, and we actually caught the people in it. And I saw one bloke galloping away on a horse. Of course, we couldn't do anything about him, but where I was stationed, I saw a fellow running a little way away across the fields, and I had a pot at him. And I didn't hit him, but I was very near because he stopped. And he came over. And all he'd got on him was a knife, fork and spoon. But I'd got one of the regular police there with me. And to show how capable they were with their rifle, he asked me what range he should set his rifle to fire at this bloke.
What happened to the prisoners that you took?
Oh, we took them back to the castle.
And then?
Yes.
And afterwards?
They go to Cork.
Now, you were saying earlier that it's been exaggerated, but the fact is that both the Black and Tans and the Auxies, the auxiliaries, had gained a very bad reputation in Ireland, which has persisted to this day. Why do you think that was?
Why do you think the police and the troops in Ireland have got a bad reputation today? Same thing.
But you yourself have said that when you joined up, General Crozier talked to you and said, kill, kill, kill. I mean, wasn't the role of the auxiliary division to be tough in order to put down this rebellion?
No, our job actually was to protect the police. We went around in Crossley tenders, and of course, as I say, we tried to keep the peace in the countryside. But the ambushes, of course, there was no cure for that sort of thing.
Tell me about that, the truce.
Well, there was nothing much happened except that people who'd been on the run returned, and some of the people who we didn't know had been on the run actually got very cheeky, because when the truce was declared, all our arms were taken away, and we were just the same as ordinary civilians.
How cheeky? In what way? Can you remember?
Well, for instance, one night a couple of us were walking down the street in Macroom, and a chap came up to us and told us to get off the street. And he was a chap who had been regularly mixing with our people.